The next time they mention pitch will be when Moses' mother makes him an ark so that he can survive the flood of violence and be the remnant that's saved out on the other side. Abraham is literally from the same location that Nebuchadnezzar eventually comes from. Shalom, I am Brother Nicodemus O. Smith. Welcome back to the Slow Genesis walkthrough. This is Mehalak, the Walkabout series. Genesis chapter 1, only on Study the Bible, not the Sermon TV. And we posted up at Genesis chapter 1, verse 2, done stuck my flag in the ground. Look like we're going to be here for a while. We talked about Genesis chapter 1, verse 2 itself, how water represents nothing, and God generated life out of that nothing, first by pulling out the dry land, then pulling us out of the earth. Then we progressed to the story of Adam. Adam and Eve had 3 sons, one son cursed, lineage traced through the youngest son, Seth, until Enoch, that controversial figure who doesn't die and is the template or example of the possibility of man. You think it's a coincidence that he was the 7th generation born after Adam? Not a coincidence, just like it's not a coincidence at the end of the genealogy of Noah is the 10th person born after Adam through Seth. And Noah also has 3 sons, one son cursed, and the lineage begins tracing through the youngest Shem. On the other side of Noah's flood, there's also a genealogy. There are actually 3 genealogies, and the second one leads us right into the next flood we're dealing with today. This time, instead of unraveling the fabric of the whole cosmos, God just unravels the fabric of Babylon. The language is called scattering, Genesis 11:1. And the whole earth was of one language and of one speech. And the whole earth was unified in unrighteousness. Just like with Noah, the whole world was unified in violence, only doing evil continually. Verse 2, and it came to pass as they journeyed from the east that they found a plain in the land of Shinar and dwelt there. Going east is how you get away from God. Cain was driven to the east after killing Abel. And now they coming from the east and stop in Shinar. Daniel chapter 1 is how we certain that Shinar is the area within Babylon. Verse 3 says they had slime for mortar, right? After the episode, Google slime and pitch. The pitch from Noah's Ark. These both are the same thing, used to make asphalt type cement. It was used by Noah just like it's used by Moses' mother to make the boat or the box that's waterproof. Here, they making the tower with the same materials to hold it tight together. Verse 4. And they said, go to, let us build a city and a tower whose top may reach unto heaven, and let us make a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth. So, they began building. All right, this is in rebellion. You see, they want to make a name like the giants or the Nephilim from Genesis chapter 6. The violence of the people who want to make a name is what led to Noah's flood. I wonder what's going to happen this time. How we going to remix that here? Verse 6 talks about the imagination, which is supposed to make your mind reminisce about the sons of God, Genesis 6. Verse 5, where it's written that every imagination of the thoughts of man's heart was only evil continually. So we have multiple vocabulary words so far. Genesis 11:9. Therefore is the name of it called Babel, because the Lord did there confound the language of all the earth. And from thence did the Lord scatter them abroad on the face of all the earth. Remember what God was doing in Genesis chapter 1. It is a creation story, but the kind that the average American wouldn't expect to hear. To some, creation means you start from nothing, and now there's something. Creation in ancient times had more to do with setting things that already exist in their proper order and giving meaning. Creation means bringing organization, if you will. That's why Genesis 1 doesn't tell us the substance of the sun and the moon, but it does tell us where he put them and why they are there. So when God takes a people that are totally unified to that point, that they are in a perfect rebellion, there is no longer any order. They can't even organize enough to even finish what they already started. So they left off from building the tower because a flood of scattering took the people back to chaos and confusion that began the whole story in Genesis 1 verse 2. If you have eyes to see, you can see the clear connections, not just to the flood story and the Genesis 1 verse 2, but also connections to the other story that will obviously own remix to that part of the song. The next time they mention pitch will be when Moses' mother makes him an ark so that he can survive the flood of violence and be the remnant that's saved out on the other side. Study the Bible, not the sermon TV. I am Brother Nicodemus, O. Smith. That's O. Not K. No relation. Genesis 1 verse 2 continues, and we up.